Welcome to Waywut, your weekly verbal double take. This is a rabbit hole podcast where a couple of old guys do moderate to shallow dives into various topics, ranging from true crime, paranormal, sports, pop culture, or anything else that we find interesting. We drop episodes every Tuesday and on Fridays if we feel like it. You can follow us on Facebook, X, and TikTok. We appreciate you joining us. And now that we got all this self-promotion stuff out of the way, here we go.
Well, hello there, and welcome to your weekly verbal double take. My name is Jason, and today I am the head clown, bringing you another topic that made me say, well. Joining me as always, running in the opposite direction due to his phobia of clowns, is Darrell.
It's not that bad anymore. I've fairly conquered that.
You grew out of it, unlike my phobia.
Yeah, I mean, I still don't trust them.
They're very creepy.
But I don't get as heebie-jeebied about it. It was never like a debilitating fear for me.
I never knew what initiated that fear of yours.
Two things. First, Poltergeist. The movie Poltergeist, I saw it when I was about 3, and there's the part where the clown doll like grabs the boy and drags him under the bed, and he's sitting there beating the shit out of that little kid.
Mm-hmm.
That jacked me up. And the other thing was Pee-wee's Big Adventure. There's the part where
I would never guess that one.
Where he goes to the animatronic where he had his bike chained up, and whenever his chains are all broken and his bike isn't there, the clown that was smiling and moving all of a sudden has like sharp teeth and mean eyes. I was like, oh my god. And then like later on there's like a scene where he's having a nightmare about being in the hospital, and there's doctors that are sitting there working on, all the nurses are clowns, and finally the doctor pulls his mask down, he's got clown makeup on, like on over his lips, and that always kind of freaked me out when I was little. So yeah, it was those two things. Those made me not like clowns.
Have you rewatched those movies since?
Several
and
times.
They don't. Okay.
I mean, Pee-wee's Big Adventure is still one of my favorite movies. Even though those parts bugged me whenever I was a kid, I still watched it all the time. I love that movie. And
the way clowns are portrayed in lots of scary movies, and they're very creepy. I mean,
I like the whole It thing, like the original one with Tim Curry. I watched it whenever I was younger, and it didn't hit me the way those did. And I love Tim Curry in the movies.
mm-hmm.
But
what's
yeah,
the other one with a star on his face? The Black Star?
It's not. Wait, Black Star.
I think
talking about the new ones that Terrifier. He ain't got a black star on his face.
Oh, that one. Okay.
But yeah, I've watched those, and they don't impact me on that level at all. I don't know. The horror movie clowns never got to me. Hell, I wrote one of the screenplays that I wrote that I never did anything with. It's still sitting somewhere. Was about a killer clown.
I think I read it. I remember, I think. Anyway, well, there's nothing truer than how quickly time goes. As time goes, things change. Some for the better and some for the worse. Just the way life is. But it can get to you. In my opinion, the best way to try and combat this is by retelling over and over stories from my younger self. Makes it still seem not that long ago. Keeps that memory fresh. This story gets brought up often during family functions. It has lived in infamy as one of the best pranks in our family. So without further ado, here's that story. When I was about a 14, 15-year-old donkey, my cousin and I was at my Nana's and Papa's house in Lancaster. And it was for somebody's birthday. I don't exactly remember whose birthday it was. But regardless of whose birthday it was, there was a delicious chocolate cake that was freshly made sitting on the counter. And my cousin and I were sitting there, and we're like, we really wanted a piece of that damn cake. And so we're like, can we go ahead and have a piece of the cake? And we asked our Nana, and she's like, no, we got to sing happy birthday. We got to put candles on it and do everything. We're like, fine, whatever, fine, whatever. So once she leaves the kitchen, we're like, we're going to eat that piece of cake. We're still going to eat that damn piece of cake. We don't give a shit what she says. So we thought the best thing to do is normally when you cut a cake, you usually cut the corners first, right? I mean, you cut a
Yeah.
cake. So we're like, we're going to cut the middle of the cake out and eat that.
You
So
did the Cosby method.
yeah, so we ate a big circle of them right in the middle of the cake. Took out a big clump of it, sat on a plate. We ate it. It was delicious. But then the problem of the hole of right in the middle of the cake, we're like, we got to fill it up with something. So what do we do? So we got a bunch of paper towels and wadded them up a paper towel wad, and we put it in the middle of that cake. Then we took some chocolate frosting and we smeared it across the top and made it perfect. You couldn't tell that we took that piece out at all. We're like, all right, crisis averted. We did it. But then it was time for her to cut the cake. And, of course, she started cutting the corners. It got, several pieces in. And then she got to the paper towel part. And Darrell, when I tell you the way she looked when she pulled out this paper towel, and for a few seconds she thought, "How in the hell did I bake a paper towel?" And we finally had to tell her because we felt so bad for her because of the look on her face. It's like, am I losing it? Did I really put a paper towel in the middle of the cake and not remember? It was so freaking funny.
I I could now officially say that I know somebody that did something they fucking saw on TV. That's exactly what Bill Cosby did. They cut the middle out of the cake, and then he put the paper towel in there. They put
Hmm.
icing on top, and they drugged that woman's drink, and then he had sex with her while she was asleep. I think that's what happened in that episode.
Yeah. Oh man, that was great. It was great. Well, that was a prank that could have gone either way. It was thought out, but the end game would be her eventually finding the patch job and hopefully get a laugh, or worse, get in trouble. A payoff or laughter is the end game in most pranks. They must have little downside. Want to fill my car with dozens and dozens of balloons? Sure, that's pretty funny. Cover it in post its? Okay, still funny. Car isn't damaged. Fill it with jello? Still funny with some major cleanup. Fill it with cement? Not funny. Car ruined. The pranks that were not thought through and ultimately got out of control is what we will discuss today.
You
Yeah. And I'm even going to give a little ranking of the prank, if you will, if I think it's a good prank or a bad prank.
okay?
In 2021, in Hermitage, Tennessee, a 20-year-old U.S. YouTuber by the name of Timothy Wilkes thought it would be a good idea to stage a robbery. So him and a friend allegedly approached a group of people with butcher knives in their hands. Well, with everyone armed these days, David Starnes Jr., a member of the group that was being held up in his robbery prank, pulled out his gun and shot Wilkes dead. He
That's
claimed
funny.
he pulled the trigger in self-defense and was unaware that it was only a prank. He is currently not facing any charges.
Just a prank, bro. Was that his dying words? He said it laid on the ground, bullet hole. It was just a prank, bro.
You've seen it all on YouTube before where they'll do something so crazy and then they're like, dude, we're just playing. I didn't
Yeah,
mean to steal your purse.
yeah. There's certain things. I'm sorry, it's not a prank. It's like I think there was one recently, uh, where a guy like called in a bomb threat somewhere. He's like, it was just a prank. No,
No.
that's a bomb threat, and
Yeah.
and even if you're just pretending to rob somebody, it's still an attempted robbery as far as they're concerned.
Right. Well, like, what's the end game? What you're hoping for that they get scared and then you're going to tell them, oh, it was just a prank. And they're like, oh, thank God. They're not going to laugh about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
not
my prank
great.
synopsis poorly thought out with no end game.
Or just probably not a real prank. I mean, that's not a prank. A
No,
prank is like, something that happens where there's an end result that ends up with both parties laughing.
exactly. Exactly. Well, on to the next one. This is an entry for the Father of the Year award. This dumb shit wanted to give his young children ages 6 and 8 a good Halloween fright by pretending to kill their mother. So he chose his best Michael Myers mask from Halloween movie franchise and then proceeded to strangle his wife, who was in on the prank, in front of their two kids.
Hmm.
However, the kids freaked out in spectacular fashion, ran to a neighbor's house, and had them call the police. The sheriff's office was called out, and dipshit dad had to explain to the police it was all in good fun and only a prank. And while no charges were filed, the children are said to still have trust issues to this day.
No shit. Really?
Right.
Oh,
Once
wow.
again, what was the end game? Do you see your kids traumatized? Do you see them freak out? What's funny in that?
I mean, I look back and on ex-wife number one, I had it was around Halloween and I'd purchased what I needed for a Freddy Krueger costume. Had this red and green sweater, had a rubber mask, had the hat, had the glove. It's actually right over there.
Mhm.
But she was sleeping in. I was awake. I was sitting outside smoking a cigarette, and I was like, "Oh, I got a good idea. This will be funny." And I put on the sweater, I put on the mask, put on the hat, put on the glove, and while she slept, I started scratching at her nose with the glove.
The Freddy
She
Krueger glove, the one with the blades, just to
Well,
make
the
sure that's
plastic one,
clear.
not my real one, not my real one, my plastic one.
Either way, just to give the
Yeah.
visual here.
So I'll never forget this. She opened up her eyes widened with fear. She screamed and buried herself under the covers. And I was like, and immediately, like, oh God, this isn't funny. And I felt bad. So I ripped off the mask and I was like, it's me, it's me, it's me, it's me. She's sitting there crying. And I was like, it's me, it's me. And then, 23-year-old Darrell thinks it's a good idea to be like, what the hell are you doing? If you were scared, why are you hiding under the covers? Why didn't you punch me?
Why didn't
Why
you
didn't
get
you
out the
beat
gun?
my ass?
Yeah.
Something. And, it was not my best thing. Now, granted, I look back on it now and I think it's funny, especially considering that we're not together anymore, so it makes it even funnier.
Should have used my
But
real glove.
uh, that was not a well thought out prank. Now, granted, I don't think I traumatized her. Then
Oh,
again, I mean, she ended up leaving me like a handful of years later, so maybe that was one of the things. But uh,
but when you thought about doing the prank, what in your mind did you envision her reaction to be? Like,
I
what did you hope
imagined
for her
her
to
to
do?
get scared, but then realizes me, kind of like whenever somebody is like walking out of the bathroom and you just happen to be in the hallway and you go and you
Yeah.
scare them,
Yep. Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh my God!" And then they're just like, So in my head, she's gonna be like, "Ah!" and then be like, "Oh, you son of a bitch," and hit me, and then we all laugh about it,
Mm.
whatever. And instead, she thought she was going to die, and was not that was not my goal.
Not
Uh,
that day.
so yeah, it was a poorly thought out thing on my end, and I was young and stupid. Now, even back then, say I was like, hey, it'd be really funny if I dressed up like Michael Myers and I started strangling you in front of like your younger sister or your parents or something like that to her. No, I wouldn't think that was a good idea. That's a terrible idea. That's how you end up with a gunshot wound or in jail.
Uh-huh. You ever prank your parents?
Have I pranked my parents?
Mm.
Yeah, but it was never anything too crazy. Like, um, so you remember whenever we were first in college, and instead of going to class, we'd go to putt putt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Kept
well,
the
we'd
place
go
in
to
business for a
we
year.
played video games all day. And one of those times that we went, I got a bunch of tickets, and I got an inflatable alien, and it was about 5 feet tall, I think. Well, at the time, the house that I lived in, we didn't have central air, and in Texas, that's insane. So my bedroom, it was always way too hot to sleep in you know pretty much any time but winter, and I would sleep on the couch. Well, this time I decided I wasn't going to sleep on the couch, but I had this 5 foot tall inflatable alien, so I thought it'd just be funny just to lay it down and cover it with a blanket and then go to sleep in my bed, and I did. And my dad found it, which he was just like, got my mom to look at it, and they both laughed. Now, whenever I was 8, I had a My Buddy doll. You
Oh,
remember
the
My
things are
Buddy?
creepy. Yes.
Yeah, and those came out before Child's Play did, but they were dressed very similar. They had overalls,
Mm-hmm.
they had brown hair. Uh, so one time, whenever I was about 10, after a couple of Chucky movies had been out, under my dad's advice, he was like, put the your My Buddy doll in our bed. And I was like, I'll go one step further. So I found like my toy plastic knife. I taped it to its hand. I put it under the blankets on my mom's side of the bed, but like made sure that you couldn't really tell. He was over by the pillows, so it's kind of lumped under there. And apparently, whenever she uncovered it, it did make her shout. So
But you weren't there to witness the prank
no,
unfold?
no,
Oh,
but
that's the
my
whole
dad
point
told
of
me
one.
about it.
Oh, I'm sure he told this story well.
Yeah, probably better than I did.
No, I pranked my dad once. I don't remember how old I was, just say my 16, 17-year-old age. And remember the prank where we put down a plate of water and had like two hairs in it? And they
Hmm.
said, watch it, look, if you look at it close, you can see it dancing or whatever. And they look at it close and you smack the plate and throw all the water in their face.
Okay.
I did that to my dad. He didn't like it very much. So he said, I'm going to get you back. I'm like, fuck, what is he going to do, So hours went by. I'm sitting in my room terrified, wondering what the hell he's going to do. And he finally comes in, you know, kicks the door open, and I'm sitting there on the floor playing Sega or whatever. And he has this huge pot. It looks to be full of water. It's dripping down the sides. You see it all wet and shit. He's carrying it all carefully towards me, like he's about to douse me with a whole pot of water. And then right when he goes to throw it, it's completely empty. It's nothing in there. And I'm sitting there terrified, waiting for the water. And he just pouring nothing on me. He got me good.
Would you count what him developing our Cancun pictures as a prank, even though it was on accident?
Well, yes, if we told the story differently and then how it unfolded.
I mean, we did not do it with the intention of it being all right.
No, it should have been a prank.
Should we
Go
tell
ahead
this
and
story?
go. Yes, lovely. Tell it, please.
Okay, 1998. Jason and I graduated high school, and we went on a graduation trip to Cancun along with a bunch of our friends. While in Cancun, being this was 1998, and I know most of the people that listen to us are not young, but just in case they are, there weren't
Holy
cell
God,
phones.
1998. Such a
There
long
weren't
time
cell
ago.
phones to take pictures with back then.
Uh-uh.
And Jason had one of those disposable cameras where you would take your pictures. You drop the camera off at the drugstore. Drugstore develops your pictures.
Uh-huh.
Well, when we got back from Cancun, Jason still had like half a roll of film left that he needed to use up so that he could get his film developed to get the pictures.
Yep.
So we start off with the funny one, with the funny picture where Jason always used to do this thing where he would touch his nipple and put his pinky over by his mouth looking all innocent.
No, no, no. I
Now,
raised your shirt up a little bit and
you
show
show
the
your
nipple,
nipple
and then
and
do
then,
a.
yeah. And so that was the first picture. It's like, okay, this is going to be funny. And it's like, well, I got an idea. And Jason had like this baseball bat that was about 10 inches long.
A mini bat, yeah.
Yeah. And so I like stuck that in my pants to make it look like I had a giant boner. And we thought that was funny.
Yeah, you
But then
sold
it was
it. The
like
look on your face sold it.
we got even more ideas. And so we had our friend Tommy take his shirt off and we put hand lotion all over his chest and have Jason with his fly open looking like he just experienced all of the ecstasy while Tommy looked at his chest going, "Oh my god."
Rub it in.
And then for the coup de grace, there was one with me on all fours. I still had my shorts on and my pants on, but Tommy was behind me, and I was looking like I just got violated very hard in the back end. Those are all the pictures. I didn't miss one, right? That's all of them, right?
There was one was somebody had handcuffs. Either you had
I
handcuffs
had
or
the handcuffs. I thought that was the
but
same one with the Tommy one. No, that
and somebody had like a whip or something that was whipping
yeah,
them. But
yeah,
yeah,
okay.
you
I
hit
thought that
the major ones for sure. They get the picture. It escalated quickly.
we took these pictures and then we kind of forgot about them. It
Hmm.
was fun to do at the time. We were being silly. Lo and behold, I go to Jason's house one day, and Jason's like, "My dad just got back from developing those pictures, and he is pissed." I was like, "What pictures?" He's like, "Remember the pictures?" He's like, "Oh, the pictures." And so we go to, it's like, "So you got the pictures?" But that guy was looking at me like I was some kind of weirdo.
Oh my
And
god!
it is still one of the funniest things to this day. I
It
mean, I remember even bringing it up to him again like months later, and he still didn't think it was funny.
no, because he had to go back to work the next day and work with that guy for several more years. It's too embarrassing just to ask him about it. It's just don't ever talk about it. Don't look at him. Don't go in the film section anymore. I never asked him to develop any more film, nor would he.
And yeah,
Oh my
and
god, that's a great
Jason
story.
still has these pictures to this very day,
I do. I
and they
bust
will
them out
be
every once in a
buried with
while.
you someday. Those pictures need to die with you.
Oh my god. Oh, it's funny to find them every once in a while and send them to you. Like, look what I came across. Well, I'm
I think
talking
my
about
favorite's
telling the
the
same
lotion one.
stories. Yeah, telling the stories over and over again because they're legend. They're
Well,
legend.
now they're going to be marked down in internet history. It's going to be in perpetuity now.
Yeah, absolutely greatness. All right, next prank. A teacher at Taunton High School in Massachusetts thought he figured out a great way to get students into the Halloween spirit. He brought a real chainsaw to the school, pulled the ripcord, and then burst into a classroom of 15-year-old students wearing a ski mask and revving the chainsaw to max throttle. The stampede of students that ensued was so bad that one person broke his leg while clambering over a desk. Of course, this led to several parents of the traumatized students to launch a lawsuit against the school board. A high school and teacher who perpetrated the prank against a high school and teacher who perpetrated the prank. Apparently, the family of the kid with a broken leg settled out of court for $100,000,
Worth
all
it.
because of a stupid prank.
Um. All right. The one thing, and I'm assuming this is the case, where he didn't actually have the chain on the chainsaw,
He
because
had the
that's
chain on the chainsaw.
bullshit. Because like even at haunted houses, when they have real chainsaws, they don't have the actual chains on there.
Well, let me take that back. He brought in a real chainsaw. The story was did not describe if the chain was on
All
it or
right,
not.
I'm gonna imagine that he at least thought it out to that degree. He couldn't foresee that somebody was gonna break his leg. I think it's funny. It probably wasn't the smartest thing to do ever.
Mm-mm.
Uh, I, but I mean, at the same time, he couldn't foresee some numbnuts not that's too klutzy to get out of his chair.
Well, here's my synopsis of the prank. It probably was a teacher that wasn't very well liked and was trying to be the cool teacher, but chose the wrong time and setting for such a prank.
I beg to differ. I don't think it matters if he is well liked at all. Uh, if something like that happens, people see dollar signs. I mean, seriously,
Mm,
$100, $100,000 for a broken leg. I've
yeah,
had two leg fractures in my life, and I never got paid $100,000 for them. If I could, I would go ahead and break my leg jumping over a desk right now if I make $100,000 doing it.
you could have sued Frisbee.
It happened at school. Could have sued people.
That was a joke that nobody else got but me.
Yeah, whatever. I don't want to go into that one. For some reason, that's more embarrassing to me than having somebody pretend to butt fuck me. You okay?
Oh God, well, it's pretty funny because you're right. You'd rather talk about that story than how you broke your leg.
Yeah.
All right, next prank. Eggs are one of the oldest and eggs are one of the oldest and most useful things used for pranks. Who among us hasn't egged a house at least once in our life? But this
I
tried
haven't.
and really?
Yeah, I never egged a house
Oh,
or a car.
oh,
I paintballed a car, but I didn't
yeah.
egg one.
I've almost got in trouble for that too.
Mm. Well, we'll save that story. I plan on using it someday.
All right. But this tried and true prank took an ominous turn for a 15-year-old Pennsylvania youth in 2006. For some inexplicable reason, the teen in question thought it would be funny to egg the local electric company substation in his town. However, the combination of egg splatter and rain that was pouring down at the time caused a massive explosion that practically destroyed the electrical substation and knocked out power to 8,000 people in the local community.
Oh, that's awesome.
Fortunately, the boy escaped relatively unscathed. He had to be treated at the local hospital for ringing in his ears. Prank
I
synopsis, yeah. No one lives at the electric plant, so who are you pranking?
I mean, I all right. Look, I've done and broken and vandalized things. I may not have ever egged anything, but I definitely destroyed my share of vacant houses and stuff like that in my
Hmm.
youth. There are some things that are just fun to do, like breaking glass is awesome.
Yeah, makes a good sound.
I mean, if I had an electrical substation near me, I'd probably thrown rocks at it because
There is
that,
one close to Heartland.
well, yeah, I'm talking about when I was a kid.
No.
Now, 15, probably not. I was kind of over my destructive phase by then. Most of mine was uh, like once I discovered girls, it's about 12. I kind of got over breaking stuff. Um,
But you did it with your cousins or friends. You wouldn't do it by yourself, would you?
No, I never did it by myself. We were always, out riding bikes, or whatever, and we'd come across
Mm.
some old abandoned house, and we'd go in there, and there'd still be stuff in there, like an old TV, and we'd be trying our hardest to smash the screen in. Which old TVs, it is not.
Yeah.
You can't just kick it or hell. We dropped an iron on it. We could not break that screen.
That tube is powerful, very thick.
Yeah. I mean, I used to shoot out streetlights with a BB gun. I think the last time I did that, I was about 15.
Mm.
But whenever they pop so loud. It's so cool.
Yeah, it does make a cool noise. That fluorescent or phosphorus or whatever it is that goes
I
up in
don't
the
know.
air.
I just know that it made a satisfying sound, and there was glass also being broken, which I love breaking glass.
And it made somebody come out and change the light bulb.
Help make sure that city employees have work.
Yeah, something to do. Keeping them in business. All right, the next prank. In 2009, a woman in Granville, New York was charged with a misdemeanor after her prank ended up killing her friend.
Ooh.
It, inspired by a prank that she had seen on television, a 49-year-old woman decided to spot the punch at a party she was attending with the Visine eye drops.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
apparently the prankster through the Visine thought the Visine will make her friend woozy and ill. However, Visine causes serious medical issues for people who drink it, including respiratory failure. The woman who was pranked had no idea what happened to her, but she quickly collapsed after drinking the Visine and later died. Several other people at the party became seriously ill. The woman who spiked the punch with the Visine was later charged with a misdemeanor assault causing bodily harm.
Oh wow. She didn't even get like manslaughter or nothing or anything.
No.
Wow, she got lucky. Uh, yeah, this one I've watched movies where you see people do it, and it's
Yeah,
supposed to be
wedding
funny and all
crashers.
that.
Yeah.
But there's I remember there being a story about some kids that did it to a teacher, and she nearly died.
Yeah, they
Uh,
see it on TV, think they're going to give them the poops or make them throw up for a couple days, but a lot worse than
Even
that.
then, I mean, like if I knew there was something I could do to somebody to make them puke and shit for a couple days, I'm not going to do that. That's fucked up. Hell, even if it's gonna make somebody like puke and shit like immediately for 5 minutes, I'm not gonna do it. That's wrong. Now, will I sit there and crack a stink bomb or fart in somebody's face or whatever and make them gag? Yeah, but not anything that's like I'm going to introduce a foreign chemical to your body because, haha.
Yeah. It kind of goes along with my what you're saying there with my synopsis of the prank. This prank was performed with bad information. We have all seen Wedding Crashers and the other movies we talked about. A couple of drops of Visine in a glass of water, boom, going down on toilet for days. Unfortunate that she didn't do her own due diligence.
Yeah, I mean, don't do stupid shit you see on TV, like cutting holes in the middle of cakes, filling it with napkins, put icing on top, then drugging and having sex with a woman. Don't do that.
Mm-mm. Don't do that. The next prank. This prank I've found many examples of. Most of the examples were gluing people to toilet seats. In my
Oh,
exp-
Jesus.
Yeah, in my experience with super glue, this shit dries super fast. How they were able to apply the super glue and not have it dry before someone plops down on it is unclear. However, it happened. This caused one 4 year old to have her skin ripped off at McDonald's UK as
Oh,
two teens put super glue on a toilet seat. Another superglue prank was that of Jenny Bradshaw, a 31-year-old woman from the UK. She had her car superglued shut. The doors, windows, locks, windshield wipers, and gas cap were all superglued.
that
Actually,
was
kind of
actually
funny.
pretty funny.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Uh,
It appears to be had just have been a random attack, as to no other car was like this, and no one was caught. Just terrible luck.
yeah, the super glue in the car, funny. Anything that involves actually getting super glue onto a person, no.
Yeah, that stuff is
Super
just
glue.
dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, in the Vietnam War, they used to use that to seal wounds in the
Yeah,
field.
yeah.
Uh, it, oh, yeah, whatever bastard caused some little kid to get their ass skin ripped off like that, and he deserved to put it on his hands where his jerk off lotion is.
Yeah, kind of what I was saying too in my synopsis. You better know what you're getting into with superglue. So many things can go wrong and cause damage. Superglue a quarter to the floor and watch people try to pick it up. Pretty funny. Superglue someone's ass cheek shut. Still funny, but at what cost?
Look, jail time.
Yeah, no, for real. If you superglue is called superglue for a reason.
And it's extremely adhesive to like people.
Yeah, I've gotten scared several times when I'm messing with
Yeah,
superglue and I have it in
just
my hand. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna try to see if it really works. And you sit there and you're like, oh my god, it does work.
I accidentally gotten it on my fingers like that before. I'm just like, dude, nope, right, no. Wait for it to dry.
All right, next one. It doesn't get more tragic than this one. In
Uh,
2013, a teenager in Kentucky accidentally hung himself to death while trying to stage a Halloween prank. Jordan Moreland, age 16, of Louisville, was apparently trying to prank his sister on Halloween by pretending to hang himself in a tree on the family's front yard. However, the prank turned to tragedy when Jordan slipped and hung himself to death for real. Sadly, the family didn't believe Jordan was in trouble when they initially saw him hanging in the tree, as they assumed he was pulling another in a series of Halloween pranks. Say cry wolf once.
I almost was that kid
Uh oh.
whenever I was about 14 years old, and I was doing the house up, wanting to scare trick or treaters,
Hmm.
and we had this half finished pergola, and I got some rope, made a noose, tied it around, had had it tied down with almost like a harness, like around each leg, and I was going to have it go up my shirt through the back, but have the noose forward. Apparently, though, I had that part, the harness part in the back, too long. So whenever I
Oh
tried it,
no.
it was just sitting there hanging by my neck. Now, fortunately, since it was that pergola, I was able to kind of grab the top, pull up, and get it off my neck. But yeah, after that, I was like, I'm not going to do this. This is a bad idea.
Yeah, yeah. Like my synopsis here, pranking someone where your life is at risk if it goes wrong is never a good idea.
You don't know your life's at risk when you're that age. You're invincible. I had no, I
True.
was like, I have, of course, got this. Look, I've got my little leg harness rigged up, and it's just all the weight's gonna be on my hips. It's going to be fine. This kid probably thought the same thing, and he was just as bad at engineering as I was, but I guess with less upper body strength, or maybe he was hanging too far away where he couldn't reach what he was hanging from. I was only like this far away, like the top of my head was about this far away from what I was hanging on.
Oh yeah.
So I was able to kind of
At
grab
least
on.
you thought that part out.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, that and the pergola wasn't that high to begin with. It was only like 7 feet, 7 or 8 feet. So
Yeah. I still don't understand why family members think it's funny to see another family member dead or in a situation that can cause death.
that is kind of weird because, like, I know if my parents, they didn't even know what happened or that I was even going to attempt that. Had they saw me hanging, they would have come over and be like, "What are you Actually, they would have shouted something first, like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
And then if I didn't respond, they'd be marching their ass over there. And if it turned out I was faking dead while they were asking me, they would have beat me like a pinata while I was hanging. Um,
Can't
but
leave an opportunity
yeah,
to
it's kind of
waste,
weird.
though.
I'd know me like as a parent. If I saw something like that, that's how I'd be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" No response. Hey, and then you touch it, and you're like, "Oh my god!" Then you get to work like immediately,
Mm-hmm.
or they're like, got you," and then you pick up a stick and you start beating them like a pinata. I'm gonna keep hitting you till candy comes out.
No, I can't say that. Well, here's the last one. You've probably heard of this one since you're a gamer. It doesn't get any dumber than our last one. Swatting is an illegal prank that occurs when someone calls in a fake report to emergency services, accusing another person of a serious crime. Usually, the accusation is so severe that it warrants an immediate armed response from the police. Heavily armed law enforcement then arrive at the victim's house to address the non existent threat with potentially devastating consequences. Although this started in the online gaming industry, it is now spread to politicians and even senior citizens who are just minding their business. I
Mm-hmm.
have a few examples here. Celebrity swatting, 2013. Celebrities became celebrities became frequent victims of swatting in 2013, including Miley Cyrus, Ashton Kutcher, Tom Cruise, and Justin Bieber. The live stream swatting, 2014. Jordan Mathewson was swatted live on air during a gaming stream. The swatter called 911 and reported an armed hostage situation at his location. This is one of the first major viral events that caused swatting to become more widespread, especially among gamers. I do remember that one.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't he just trying to get him off the game so he can win?
Something like those lines. Yeah.
Uh, Wichita swatting of 2017. A police officer shot and killed Andrew Finch in his home after responding to a swatting call. The swatter, Tyler Barris, had attempted to target another player but mistakenly used Finch's address. Barris was convicted and sentenced to 20 years in prison.
That you know what this reminds me of? These are all the assholes out there that would try to get other kids in trouble in
Mm-hmm.
school or with their
Snitches.
parents. Yeah, uh,
Uh-huh.
it's pathetic and it's weak and it's feeble and I I wish they would all get 20 years in prison because they obviously don't deserve to have phones.
No.
And if they really need a phone that bad, they could shove one up their ass like a prisoner would. Um, it's I don't think that they punish that hard enough because people apparently still aren't learning the lesson because it still happens today.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that, and the penalty needs to be severe enough where people will not
Deter.
do it anymore.
Do what penalties are supposed to do and deter.
Uh huh.
I got two more examples here. A Tennessee swatting in 2020. An elderly man, Mark Herring, was swatted in retaliation for refusing to sell his Twitter handle. The swatter claimed Herring had killed a woman and hid her in his home. Excuse me, killed a woman at his home. Tragically, Herring died of a heart attack after heavily armed law enforcement surrounded his house.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And like I said, this was pretty recent. The 2023-2024, the season of swatting, starting in December of 2023 and continuing into 2024, there was a wave of swatting incidents that targeted American politicians. Over a dozen politicians, donors, and high-profile supporters were swatted in what was dubbed as the season of swatting as it took place over the holiday season.
Again, gotta have increased. I mean, like the one with the heart attack, did that kid get any jail time or
It
prison
didn't
time?
say. I didn't see anything about him getting any jail time.
Hmm.
It didn't even say who the person was. Just that a victim was died because of the SWAT team coming to his house.
It's not cool.
No. Now, getting the law involved in a prank and wasting their time is one of the fucking most ridiculous things I've ever heard. If you can get in trouble for calling 911 and hanging up, why would anyone think they can get away with calling in a SWAT team? Completely idiotic and deserve the most punishment possible.
Yep.
Totally agree. Well, that would do it for this episode. If you are going to prank someone, think it through. Plan it out. Make sure you have an end game that makes everyone laugh, like Darrell mentioned earlier. It is supposed to be fun for everyone. Not one person should be laughing at the end of a prank. It should be both of y'all. Well, join us next week as Darrell whips out another topic that made him say, "Wait, what?" We'll catch y'all then.
Bye.
Later.
Thank you for joining us for Waywut. If you would, tell your friends or your enemies that they can watch us on YouTube or Rumble. And if you don't want to see our face, or if they don't want to see our faces, you can listen to us on your preferred audio platform. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Pandora, you name it, we're probably on there. Please like, review, and comment on whatever platform you joined us on today. We'd appreciate that a ton. Again, just thank you for listening and watching. We hope you'll join us next time. We'll make you say, "Wait, what?"